let's move on here to the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat on the slate right now because it was hot, even though it wasn't weather-wise in New York. It was rainy, but in the M&G Garden it was a lot of heat. And the Knicks Tom Thibodeau came out and said that after the loss, we have more than enough despite Julius Randle's ankle injury and losing game 1 to the Heat. How would an extended Julius Randle absence impact how we view this series going forward? And Zay, the mic is yours.
How would an extended Julius Randle absence impact? I think it impacts what they want to do on offense. Because Julius Randle does attract a lot of double teams. Multiple eyes are on Randle at all times. They've put a lot of bodies on him, similar to what we saw yesterday when Brunson tried to drive into the paint. Those three bodies on him that required a kick out and someone else to make the shot. I think that's what having Randle on the court means, that multiple people are going to try to trap him, put multiple bodies on him because of how strong he is. They don't want him to blow past his matchup. They score an easy basket. And that's something that both coaches, Spoelstra and Thibodeau, have mentioned in their press conferences, that the easy baskets win this game. We're more focused on getting the easy baskets than the tough ones, because the tough ones are to come and go. And that means a lot because the Knicks, when Thibodeau said they have more than enough, they did, because the Knicks actually missed 15 wide open shots in this game. Wide open shots. They missed 9 free throws. They lost by 7. So if you when you look at the numbers, you look at what's happening on the game, the Knicks had an opportunity to win this game because they couldn't make their open shots, was the reason being. They were, I believe, 7 for 33 or
4,
34.
7 for 34.
7 for 34 from the
Terrible.
3-point line. And 15 of those threes were wide open. Like that's a horrible stat line. Jalen Brunson, towards the second half of the game, the third and the fourth quarter, the man was just doing some abnormal shots, forcing an isolation, trying to force through a matchup, trying to force through to make a shot, force a shot. And that's not characteristic of Jalen Brunson. He doesn't do that on occasion to force the action, to force somebody to do things, especially when they got 2 to 3 people defending him. That didn't make any sense to me. He didn't trust his teammates. At the end of the game, you saw it clear. Guys are not making their shots. The best shooter on the court was Obi Toppin, who shot 4 for 11, and he didn't see the court, I believe, for 10 minutes of the fourth quarter. Even despite him being the best shooter, knowing that we need a shooting, and he didn't see the floor, it's inexcusable. I think it was a bad coaching job by Tibbs. I believe Jalen Brunson had a horrible performance due to the fact that he wasn't trusting his teammates. He was trying to force action, force make threes. I understand that he was in a slump throughout the game. He wanted to see some shots go in, but he was taking some very difficult, tough shots that didn't need to be had early in the shot clock. When we were going down 3, 6, 8, 10, when they was doing those fast breaks, most of those on Jalen Brunson shots that he tried to force a 3, try to force an open jumper. A jumper nonetheless. So for me, I think Julius Randle being absent for long in the series could be very impactful. But also Jimmy Butler's absence, if he has a long duration due to his ankle injury, can also be a huge impact for both teams as well. Because now the Heat are gonna have to rely on somebody to show up once Tyler Hero went out, and now if Jimmy Butler's out for a foreseeable time, that's gonna be an issue for Miami Heat. How will their offense thrive without two of their most dominant scorers, which is Tyler Hero and Butler? Not too sure.
And I want to pick up where you left off immediately because that's what I was thinking when we talk about this topic and Julius Randle and that side. If Jimmy Butler goes down, then that's an easier series for us to win, even if, let's say, Julius Randle has an extended absence, because who is going to be that guy, that go-to guy? Is it going to be Gabe Vincent? You're going to need more from Kyle Lowry. And Kyle Lowry, at this point in his career, you just want him making the gritty plays. You don't want him trying to make the hero plays. That's not a guy that's going to save you offensively. So I think those injuries tie into each other. Jimmy Butler, how's he looking? If I was Miami, I would probably shut him down for game 2 because you did still one. Like, you went on the road, you stole one, you could rest him game 2. And let's say hypothetically we win game 2, which I do expect us to win, then you could be able to protect your home floor and give him some days of rest right there. So I think those injuries tie into each other. I don't think we really, worst case scenario, need Julius Randle. I still think a game 7 is inevitable, but it won't hurt to have a guy that is one of our go-to scorers on the floor. And I think I want to say this because I remember we predicted this I don't believe we predicted this on the air. We didn't predict this game on the air, but in the chat we was doing our predictions, right? In the 99
Mhm,
pod chat, and I saw you said that the Knicks were going to win in 5, and I had
mhm,
other people, close friends, family, brothers, tell me the same thing. The Knicks 5, and I think at the time I wanted Miami. I did. I said I would rather Miami than the Bucks, but I did predict the Knicks in 7. Okay, that
mhm,
was my initial prediction because I think we need to realize Miami is not going to be a picnic. And game one was a microcosm of that. We
mhm,
saw what they did in the last series. They literally gave the Bucks a hometown beatdown. They
mhm,
literally did in 5 games. They packed them up. There's
mhm,
no athlete hungrier for an NBA Finals more than Jimmy Butler.
mhm,
No athlete more hungrier than him. Literally, give me an athlete. CP3, nah, not more hungry than Jimmy Butler, and he's
mhm,
hungry. But Jimmy Butler is on a whole nother type of timing right now, right? And we know at this stage in his career, he may not get a lot of opportunities to chase that goal. So he's going to leave it all on the court, right? And that's exactly what we're going to see. That's exactly what we saw in that first round. And they were shooting the bricks off the gym, right? 45% from the field from 3. So, and then you got Eric Spoelstra, who I think is the best coach in the NBA, no question about
mhm,
it. So, they got the coaching advantage. They got the best player on the floor, arguably, in Jimmy Butler. So they present issues. And I think in game one, when you talk about us shooting terrible, I believe it was you referenced the number 7 of 34,
mhm.
7 for 34 from the 3-point line. And not only that, in the third quarter, we missed 10 straight shots. What was going on? You got to make those shots. And RJ Brad, although he gave us 26, once again, second game in a row, 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. We know Miami loves to play zone. They're going to challenge our shots. They're going to contest our shots. They did with Jalen Brunson. They forced him to strictly be a facilitator. And anytime he tried not to be, it didn't work out for him in his best interest. And
Mhm.
guys are going to have to knock down those shots. And if we can't, then it's going to be an issue. So, I still predict that we are going to win in game 7. I don't think it's going to be a short series. And game 1 was a prime example of why this is going to be a long series. Miami is gritty. They have championship guys and Kyle Lowry who know what it is to win a championship. They
Mhm,
got Jimmy Butler who experienced the finals appearance. They have Kevin
mhm,
Love who was able to win a championship in Cleveland. So they got those guys, those cornerstones, even with the loss of Victor Oladipo and
mhm.
Tyler Hero, they can still win off of pure grit and coaches X's and O's. Because we all know this is a 7-game series, right? And it's going to come down to those matchups. I don't think Tom Thibodeau made one adjustment in that second half, right? And yes, we lost by 7, but Jimmy Butler was staggered. He was just out there on the 3-point line, just trying to, make sure he was a presence on the floor. We was able to nitpick at that lead and make it look a little bit more presentable. But
Mhm.
with that being said, I do believe that we still should win this series. And Julius Randle's injury status is tied into Jimmy Butler and how I feel about our chances. And we'll see what happens going forward.
I actually I disagree with the Julius Randle take. I feel like he is needed to win this series. Because of what he brings on the offensive end. He attracts attention. I think that's the most important thing. And I think when you talk about adjustments with Thibodeau, it wasn't that he wasn't making any adjustments, is that we weren't making our open shots, the easy ones, the ones that are like shoot arounds. The guys are wide open, they're not making them. So that's the problem right there. When guys are not making their shots, that's a huge issue. My big issue was with Tibbs in that game 1 was rotational minutes. He didn't put Grimes in until the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Obi Toppin saw 2 minutes in that fourth quarter alone. Jalen Brunson played the entire third all the way into deep into the fourth quarter. Guys are tired. They have tired legs. There's no way Jalen Brunson's going to be able to survive all those minutes. He needs a break. And I think that's where Julius Randle comes in and plays, because he allows Jalen Brunson to play off ball on occasion. Because majority of the game, Brunson had the ball in his hands trying to make a play for the whole game. And that tires a guy, especially when you're playing physical, when you're getting beat up on the offensive end, trying to make a play. He caught a tech last night. I don't think Brunson caught a tech all year. And he got a tech last night for the lack of foul calls that he didn't receive. He is a professional. He said in a press conference, they got a tough job to do. I don't really have nothing more to say after that. So it's something that Brunson understands, that, he can't force the action. The action has to come to him. And he needs to allow he needs to allow to play the game to what the defense shows him. And I think when Randall's on the court, there's a lot more attention on Randle than there is on Brunson on the floor because Randle is a huge body. You have to put multiple bodies on him because he's going to get to that paint no matter how big you are. He is a strong dude. So I think that's why having Randle on the court is important because it allows other guys to get open. The 3-point shooting, the shots are gonna fall. It was just a horrible shooting night. We've been shooting poorly from this entire series, entire playoffs thus far. But it was just a terrible shooting night for the Knicks. I think they need to lock it in and get back in the gym and then start knocking down those open shots because they missed a lot of open shots. One particular shot and that I want to reference, or two actually, is one Mitchell Robinson had a missed alley attempt when Kyle Lowry was under him and he didn't finish the dunk. That doesn't make sense. You have to finish that. Nobody's jumping with you. You have to finish it at the rim. Another one is the Miami Heat had, I believe, 12 to 14 fast break points in that third quarter alone. So most of their points were easy baskets. They were outlet passes for an easy dunk, easy pass, easy layup. So that's something that needs to cut off. The Knicks have to get back on the floor, on defense, as soon as the offensive possession is done. They can't jog back. I see Mitchell Robinson jogging back every single time. I need you to run full speed back and get in position because they're getting fast break points. They're pushing the pace. You can't continue to jog up the court like everything is fine. We lost a 10-point lead because of that. They need to show the hustle. They need to show the grit they showed in that last series. And, that's something that needs to be fixed in game 2.
A couple things, right? I think number one for me, whether it's X's and O's, whether it's giving guys extra minutes, whether it's game management, those are adjustments, right? So, you know, once again, I reiterate, I didn't think Tom Thibodeau made adjustments to combat Miami what they was doing, and that's a stem from different factors and different things, right? And number two, I think in that take that you had, I think you contradicted yourself in a way here because yes, we want to have Julius Randle because we know he can score the basketball, but at the same time, you reference all the shots that we missed. Guys were open, right? So we knock down those shots. We're not thinking about, oh, okay, we need Julius Randle. We knock those shots, we're gonna win game one. And then it's like, okay, it's a different series. Maybe Jimmy Butler misses game two. Now we definitely don't need Julius Randle for game two. So I think there's a different tone when you win a game compared to when you lose a game. When you lose a game, there's a panic. Oh, we need Julius Randle. When you take care of business and you knock down those wide open shots that you got, then there's a different conversation. So I think for me, what I'm saying is, yes, we want Julius Randle, but let's say hypothetically, Jimmy Butler is missing game two or potentially game 2 and 3, then I feel better about our chances. Look, we have the depth advantage. Miami is losing guys. They lost Victor Oladipo. They lost Tyler Hero, guys that can get out there and score the basketball. So the workload on Jimmy Butler is going to remain. And if he's not there, then who are they going to go to or go through to find, easy shots? And not everything's going to be much harder for them. So I think for us, we have the depth advantage. We have one of the best benches in the NBA throughout the whole regular season. I think guys like Emmanuel quickly need to step their game up in the playoffs, okay? Because he could have arguably won Sixth Man of the Year, but if playoffs was any, how can I say, indication of who should win that award, he would not be in the conversation because he hasn't been showing up. So he needs to give us something more from the bench. So I think it's about our depth and our guys, stepping up and knocking down wide open shots when we have those opportunities. And if we do that, then we won't be so keen in on Julius Randle and how his injury is progressing. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Last point I wanted to say about the Julius Randle. I think him on the court also puts Bam on a bio guarding him at all times. So that eliminates the zone because now you have to put a body on Julius Randle. They're not going to put Kevin Love on Julius Randle. They have to put Bam on a bio, a guy who's mobile, a guy who can move around. And that puts Miami Heat's defense at a fault because, as you say, they don't have any real defenders out there outside of Jimmy Butler. And if he's out, then that leaves Bam as the best defender. And they're going to have to scramble and try to move around, which enables better shooters to be open more often. That probably leaves Jalen Brunson open more often than not because guys are not going to be able to just clog the paint. They're not going to be able to just move around because you can't leave Julius Randle wide open because he's a guy who can knock down shots as well. So, I mean, he's like I said, his impact on the floor, even if he's not making shots, his impact on the floor changes an entire team defensive scheme. So it creates different variations of who's open and who's not open at any given time. But like I said, game one, I mean, I know there's a stat that says 0-7 when they don't win the first game. I mean, listen, It's game one. The series. This is not the NCAA. One game doesn't call the series. One game doesn't advance you to the next round. Not game one at least. So in the game two, the rest of the series is gonna be a dogfight. I know I said game five. I'm sticking with that prediction. I'm not gonna change it. I'm not gonna alter it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm fine with that. But the Knicks have a lot of work to do. I feel like they have the depth. They have the opportunity to really take these wins, the next couple wins away from Miami, especially some in Miami. We call it Miami Gardens. So I think it's gonna be something that's gonna be interesting moving forward with the series.
And I got one more stat as we close here, right? The Knicks are 1-7, regular season and postseason included, when they make 7 triples or fewer. So, translation, we gotta knock down our shots. Whether if Julius Randle's on the floor, whether he's not on the floor, we gotta knock down our shots. And that stat tells it for me.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.